I came here 30 years ago. I started farming with nothing, no equipment. And if you figure out your budget, what you want to buy, and what you have to purchase to go conventional tillage, pick a mower tower or chisel plow. And I thought that's price prohibitive, and I'm always a little bit conscious about, soil erosion and what's going on here. And, I was an exchange student 40 years ago in Minnesota, and my farmer had his own plane. And we flew over the area, and you could see already, without having any knowledge about soils, how erosion affected the Midwest, and particularly on the rolling ground. And most people have no clue how much they lose through erosion. So, and once you have the concept on, why you want to do anything if it's not necessary. My yields are as high as my neighbors, so it's common sense. Why do you want to spend something where you don't get any return on it? After the transition from tillage, to no-till or strip-till, I think the soil improved, and now the last 4 or 5 years we're working with cover crops. They even improve faster than we thought it was possible. And they're doing much better with earthworm population and changing the environment for biological activity. That's really what's improving. And I always watch earthworms. That's my meter to see how you do a good job or a bad job. I started here after the 1988. They had the biggest drought, or 89 they had a local drought. And then it turned out the springs were very wet. 1993, that was my worst year of farming. Nothing worked because it all was, flooded, and then it rained, and you never had any time to come up with any good tillage or, planting the crop. And then after that, 1994 was the best year ever because we got every week an inch of rain, and everything worked great. So that was just the flip side of 93. But otherwise, I came over here in 88, and I think you had, 40 days of 100-degree temperature, and I was always afraid of, losing the crop through heat or the drought. And I've been wrong, I lost more yield through to a lack of tile or too much water than the other way around. So. And then I put a lot of tile in my ground, and I think that's the best investment you can do for your soil. Instead of buying equipment for a couple $100,000, I put it in the ground. And then the next thing is, from my experience, was strip tilling, because we had the black strip, and that was a no-brainer. And then, the biggest improvement with strip tillage came with GPS. And that put the guesswork after, the sun went down out of driving right, between the strips. And that was the biggest challenge. After sunset, you had to quit. Nowadays, you don't have to do that anymore. GPS does it for you. And, that's 2 little or 3 little items. And the next thing, what we learned the hard way, if we got too much rain, we had to side dress, and that was another step. And I worked close with Yetta together, and they came out with a side dress equipment or tool bar, the Magnum, and that's just a no-brainer for me. So. Just keep it simple. Don't overestimate it, how deep and what you do. The key in our area is not to have a depression in the spring and, split the residue in the fall, because, our soybean residue is quite significant, and it keeps the moisture underneath. And once you put the strips, and probably done in combination with anhydrous in the fall, it's a no-brainer. You have that wonderful strip, and then, just plant right on these strips. It's a no-brainer.